Hi. Last speaker on stage. It's interesting. I mean, it can only get better from here because we're done for the day and then you all go home. So, so we will, with that renewed confidence, so happy to be here this evening. Thanks for inviting me. And I would like to speak about a little bit about a few things I have always wanted to share with folks who gave me a chance and a mic to speak about. So I'm going to use that today. So my discourse for the next 15 odd minutes is going to be about this one person, an average person trying to live up to the expectations of an extraordinary world. Like, a world that continuously seeks excellence, a world that continuously seeks extreme high performance, a world that continuously seeks everybody to do and perform at the apex of their abilities. That average person is me. And I want to spend some time speaking about why I think that way and why it is all right, and also a little bit about how to deal with the rejection that comes along with being an average person in a society that continuously seeks you to be extraordinary. And trust me, it's not a sob story. I mean, I'm going to keep it as interesting as possible. Let's see, where do I begin? So I was born in a small village in Kerala called Shornur. It's in Palakkad district. We still don't have ice bucket challenge there. We are that ahead. So anybody from Shornur, you would agree. So I was born there into a family of a banker and a school teacher. And there's only one school there and one bank and one post office. I don't think anything more was needed for what we had over there. And I went to a government school. And life begins for a boy who goes to a government school in rural Kerala is this. You are somebody that plays football or you are an idiot. I was the latter. I had a physical profile of a very adorable, cute teddy bear. I had zero athletic abilities and zero aptitude to sport. But hey, if you are to be successful in a boys-only school, we'll come to that a little later, but if you have to be successful in a boys-only school, you have to play football. So I decided to play football. And I was a disaster in playing football. I can't play football. So now, when you are like 8 years old, you don't even know that you're being rejected. So initially, you will get bullied. They'll just push you around by saying, and soon after you realize that your friends are no longer calling you for the game after lunch. So you can see everybody running to the playground after lunch. And I, along with another boy called Sudarshan, I remember him. He actually was more disastrous than I was. So it was just the two of us, and I just couldn't get along with that guy. He was boring as hell. Dude, wherever you are, sorry. So I just figured I had to play football. That's the only other thing that you can do. So I just looked at what you can do in football that will make me look less stupid. And apparently that is called a goalkeeper. That's because nobody really knew how to put a goal. Truth be said, even the guys who really play football. So it is very unlikely that the ball would ever reach the goalpost, irrespective of the team. But you are in the team. So if somebody says, so I was at the goalpost, I don't really think the ball ever coming to me, other than some point in time, some kid would actually kick the ball to me. Hey, look, hit it. I know you've been standing for all the while. So that's how I started. So the earliest part of my life I started was that something that was so mainstream in my school, I was the worst person possible, of course, the second worst person in that game. So that was my original first moment of rejection, and it taught me one thing. So you cannot, this is just my theory, right? You are adopting this after this talk purely at your own peril and risk, okay? I don't come with warranties on you picking up what I'm saying and applying it to your lives, but never mind. So I decided one thing. I am going to actually find alternate paths to be in spaces where I have no talent at. So I did not necessarily work hard. I hate football. For that matter, I hate working hard. I don't even like a drop of sweat on my body. So I became a goalkeeper. That was my first step of what they call in Hindi as Jugaad. I made an adjustment. And from that day onwards until today, where I'm standing in front of you, I'm 37 years old, I have made so many adjustments to actually fit in because I actually am not good at a lot of things. So the second one arrived when I went to study engineering. Well, I don't know, man. Back in 1998, everybody studies engineering. The problem is in 2017 also everybody studies engineering. So nothing's really changing there. And honestly, I couldn't. I studied pre-degree in Trivandrum, okay? I went to Government Arts College. I just know that it's a red-colored building. That's the best I know about that place. I haven't really entered arts college for anything other than probably the cultural festivals or whatnot. And so that's the story, right? And honestly, I really thought I will get an admission to CET, but apparently they want fairly high ranks in entrance examinations, which clearly I couldn't make. So, but on the other hand, pre-degree was rather easy. You can actually score well in pre-degree if you have good memorization abilities. By the way, I am right up there, okay? Like, come fight me on spellings, dude. Like, I'm gonna kill you on that, right? I'm that kind of guy. So I pretty much memorized physics. Great. If I remember right, I even memorized mathematics. It worked out apparently for pre-degree examination. It's okay, you can memorize mathematics. It's so templatized that you can actually, the guy who memorizes is gonna kill it. So I actually killed it, so to speak. So instead of going to CET, I ended up in this college called Birla Institute of Technology and Science, BITS Pilani. And no, hang on. I told you how I got there, so don't cheer for that. so yeah, so I went there. It's like, so Malayalis in BITS Pilani are like UFOs. You keep hearing about them, but you'll never see one. So, but apparently they were there. It's just the thing about us Malayalis is that we integrate so well. We are sometimes so integrated you confuse you for whoever. Like, you know, so we don't even know until that guy speaks something to you in Malayalam, you don't know who this guy is. Unless you enter his room and there's some Yeshdas playing or, you know. So yeah, so here's the problem, right? About 15 years in Shornur and 2 years in Trivandrum, my English language skills were phenomenal. As in, I could say, excuse me, I want water. You know, I was there, and I can't make a full good, I mean, trust me, I swear to God, I couldn't make a full sentence in English to save my life when I went to engineering college. And this is, by the way, this is the first ever time I have a real chance to ask a girl what time it is. Because I was in a boys' school all my life. I was in a boys' college. So landing in an engineering college with zero English language abilities, with the armory of by-hearting physics and mathematics, you know how well I am set up for success. I am phenomenally well set up for success, and it showed in the first semester. I couldn't make one word of what the hell was going on in engineering because I was somebody that clearly had no aptitude. Remember, I told you, I went to engineering because everybody does engineering. So, and on top of that, I learned that I am easily the least talented guy academically in my batch. Because apparently the other syllabi, like other boards like CBSE and ICSE, they apparently study. And they actually know stuff. Kerala University, not so much. So I realized that I have to put some jugaad here. I have to put some adjustment here. So the other adjustment that everybody did in the early 90s or late 90s was to learn programming. Like that's where terrible engineers go to die. Then I realized programming, while it looked easier than chemical engineering, clearly. This college doesn't have chemical engineering. But I realized chemical engineering was hard, man. You actually boil a kettle worth of water and watch it evaporate. And you calculate what the hell happened for like 2 hours. So there are... It's insane. I mean, as in it opens your eyes and ears, and I don't know. I mean, it's almost like blood tears every day when you go to the chemical engineering lab. And honestly, all the computer science guys, they actually come out of their labs and sort of stretch their necks because the microprocessor lab is hard on their neck. I am squatting on the ground mixing in an aluminum bucket calcium carbonate, chunnambu. And I am being judged by everybody that is walking by, like, you know. And there also, see, I was not the worst. There was somebody studying civil who was actually breaking stones. Civil engineers in the room, sorry but not sorry. You made that choice. I'm not calling you to build my house. Sorry, anyway. No, I don't mean that. Yeah, anyway. So So yeah, I realized that I had to do something else. So I had to identify a programming language that required really no ability. You know what the language is? It's called HTML. So I learned that. And what happens is people will invest so much time in learning C++, they actually feel that building these web forms is actually pretty complex because they've never written HTML themselves. So I started building a facade of being like, hey, look, you can do all these things that run on like and you type on VI, right? Like, most of these guys who are actually doing programming in C++ and C and blah, their IDE of choice was VI. I eventually did a lot of programming in VI. Sorry for the computer science lingo, but VI is a life-altering IDE where you cannot actually type without actually typing. So you have to type an I before you can type. And engineers think it's normal. So in that world, I started doing HTML programming. And things were going fine because people thought this guy can amount to something. The reality is it's not very complex. The second Jugaad I put in my life is that everybody started saying, if you want to build websites, go to this guy. And I did well, apparently. Okay, I could write like sensible web layouts and whatnot. And I wouldn't imagine it would have had, it would change my life to this way I never thought when I started doing that. Third one, I'm a musician. Or, so to speak, I learned Carnatic music for a long enough time. You know what Carnatic music is? The problem with Carnatic music back in the day is that the only other boring person than a Carnatic musician is your girlfriend's dad. Carnatic music is so uncool. Oh, trust me. I mean, if you are a Carnatic musician in school, you are in all sorts of events that nobody cares about. They won't even call for the light music competition because you have the Carnatic, you sing like that, nobody wants to even hear you. So it's terrible. And I went to BITS Pilani and somebody said, oh, we have a Western Music Society here. I said, like, oh, wow, this is fantastic, Western Music Society. The only English song I knew was I'm a Barbie Girl. And I thought that'll get me a lot of social propriety, but trust me, it did not. So what happened is like, I'm talking about, see, a lot of people now call me out as a person that has a band and I've been playing shows and also aspiring to like do more with my music. But the reality of my life is that I had like little or no exposure to music in general. This is where I realized that I'm average there because there are people who are like extremely well listened than I was, people who have covered so many more subgenres of music, maybe have practiced music for insanely longer times than I have. So what I realized is like, this is the place where you have to adapt again. So I started listening to stuff that the cool kids at the campus listened to without understanding much of it. So that's how I chanced upon this band called Dream Theater back in the day. So I started telling people about Dream Theater in 1999 when I had no idea what the hell they were doing. But I sounded very cool when I said that I listened to them. Cut to 10 years right now, I learned a lot more about progressive metal music. I actually appreciate it, but it took that 10 years for me. So long story short, why am I saying all these three? I'm saying all these three because inherently, it is very hard for an average guy to stand out in our setting. And I learned that in every wake of my life. Because if you're like terrible, then it's easy to build a reputation because you already have a reputation. If you're great, you have a reputation. You are that middle, right? Quintessential crowd. I was the crowd. I could easily blend in to a crowd and be not noticed. And I could easily live an insignificant existence. It's not like it's a bad existence. It's an insignificant existence. But being average and having aspirations is a deadly combination. It's unrealistic and it's extremely hard. And I'm that person. I want to be famous. I want to be known. I want to be considered an expert in something. And there's the burning desire, but unfortunately I lack the talent many a time. Two, I also lack the extreme perseverance that is needed to do this because you're naturally not blessed. So the thing I've learned is to keep doing things. One thing that I'm continuing to do is like I keep doing things and I am trying to, one of the things that as an average person I am doing because I have rejections in every wake of things that I do. It is a fact of life when you're actually trying to be in a very competitive, like pushing for the edge world. So what I'm trying to do in my life is to keep pushing and keep looking for that one route that opens up for you where you can actually take like a few steps forward and look at the vantage and see how things are going. And there's a critical thing called timing. And I am a beneficiary of good timing. So when you're average, one thing you need to really pay attention to is the timing has to be absolutely right. Like when you're Sachin Tendulkar, you missed a full toss, it's okay. The next full toss is going to be 6. When you're Ashish Nehra, that was the only full toss in your life. The next one will actually take your wicket away. So one thing which I learned as an average person is to pay attention to the timing. Something is coming your way, take it. Because this whole opportunity will knock the door. Honestly, it's not the postman. It's not going to keep knocking your door. It'll do it once in a while, like your Airtel bill guy. It'll only come when you're not paying your bill. So pick that up at that point in time and do a good job, and you're going to do that well. And don't get dejected, okay? I mean, people that know me here as a musician, I am fairly certain many people don't even know that I have done playback. I have sung for Malayalam movies, and I trust me. If I ask for like a hands to go up, maybe 1 or 2 people will put up. And honestly, such is my luck with playback singing. I actually got to sing like a really cool song for a new release movie, but that movie actually had Dilip in it. I sang the title song of Ramalila, and I couldn't even post that on Facebook because I'll get judged. Right. So there are 2 ways of looking at that, because you have an opportunity, you chanced on it, you took it, but circumstances didn't help you. So the circumstances did not help me. So now here is the point. So one way is to go about it is by singing, oh, well, you know, this scene is not for me. Let me just fall back on things. One thing which I want to like leave you guys all with is like, I mean, these are all disconnected instances of my life. The common thread on this is that a lot of people look at me as somebody who's doing a lot of things. Like, it's clear, I do a lot of things. And funnily enough, when I graduated from BITS Pilani, I could not even attend the campus interview brief of Adobe. Because my CGPA was so low, they will not even allow me into the institution. I spent 10 years in that company. Right? And I did not, thank you. I did not consider myself worthy of even bringing tea to the entry-level engineer at Google. I am at Google right now. So, why am I saying this? This is, you need to understand this. If not, if you forgot everything that I said, I'm okay. But just remember this one thing. I did not do these because I was great. Like I said, I am the average guy. Okay, I am not great at a lot of things. I'm actually not great at anything, truth be said. It's just that I have 2 qualities. And I want to take that from the previous speaker's talk. Like, I don't take a no for an answer. I mean, rejection doesn't affect me. If somebody said I can't do it, I'll find another way to do it. So I want to leave you all engineers, like, you know, you probably made a poor choice or a good choice, I don't know. but always remember, it's all right to be not the best game in town. It's completely fine. Just realize that you will have your moments to actually shine. And you grab that moment and shine, you will actually have an opportunity to be where you are. And if you guys have considered me worthy of giving this mic at TEDx, this is the triumph of the average. If anybody that feels in this room that he or she is average, rejoice, it's fine. You're going to have your moment today or tomorrow, maybe like a few months later. So thank you, and have a good day.